Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Glue Glue podcast with me, Kyle Quinn, and joining me today is Haneef. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm going really well. I watched like three games in succession, so yeah, it's moving mad. It's absolutely moving mad. How you doing?
Oh, I'm medically relieved after that result because, let's be honest, the performance from Man United was absolutely atrocious, and we got out of jail with that goal from Anthony Alanga around about the 80th minute mark. How did you feel about Manchester United's performance tonight away in Madrid?
Before I address the performance, can I just ask? When the performance is it good? Do you tend to drink more? Do you go to the bar more often, or do you just like sit there and just like mope around like I would?
Well, during the week, I wouldn't really have a pint. I would just go out to kind of socialise and watch the game with a few friends. So yeah, if I was drinking, then I probably wouldn't be in a I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be in a state to be streaming on YouTube. But so yeah, I'm still sober. I haven't taken any drink, but yeah, it was difficult to watch to say the least. But you'll take 1-1 away from home in Europe all day long.
100%. Listen, look, you have to. I think there's a lot of negativity around Manchester United. Let's if we don't look at the result, because everybody knows the past, everybody knows the history, everybody knows that Manchester United is a club that should be winning. We know this. Unfortunately, over the past 10 years, things have changed and the club have not addressed the issues that need to be resolved internally and with the team. In terms of today's game, it wasn't great, and that could be down. There were a number of things. One, I think they were nervous. Some of those players, I think there were a lot of nerves there. It was a full house. Atletico have not been having a great season. However, they probably saw this as the best opportunity to probably get their season back on track. What better way to get back to winning ways by beating one of the best clubs in England, by beating Manchester United at home at the Metropolitano. United did obviously, hold their nerve, show some resilience. Fair enough. Listen, look, players like Maguire and that they will always cause like mini strokes when they have the ball and when players are running at them. However, United did what they needed to do. Ralph made the changes, and you know what? Ilanga, what a substitution! What a goal! Right place, right time, and the young man has done it, and he's kept Manchester United in this tie. It's 1-1, and I think as a result of all the United fans' expectations this season and the expectation of going into this game with low confidence, I believe that Manchester United fans would have accepted that. The performance wasn't great first half. Bruno today was way off, and I just felt that the United players they they weren't looking to do the simple things like going down the wing enough. It seemed as if they were trying to go through the middle too much for me. In the second half, there were certain like players like Rashford when he was one on one. You didn't see him really beat a man today, and those types of things just didn't go for Manchester United today. But ultimately, look, I'm a Chelsea fan, and you ask me, we didn't play great against Lille, but we got the result. So who cares? It's a cup competition. It's ultimately it's not the Premier League, and Manchester United are still in this. They can still turn it around. It's up to them. They'll be at home. They'll have the fans on their side, and let's see what these United players can do. I think obviously you can see the United players that need to go. You really can, and if you can't, then oh my god, you've got problems. But I just feel the result was more important than the performance. United were flat today. They were extremely flat. Bruno's passing today. I don't know if you saw it second half. I couldn't believe it were him who passed that ball and it went way out. And I was like, that's not Bruno. And it turned out to be Bruno. I was like, freaking hell. He's way off the mark today. And And I think Ralph Ragnick's looking at this and thinking, you know what, maybe being the United manager is not a good idea after all, because it's a massive rebuild at the moment. But in terms of this game, listen, 1-1, as you said, they get out of Madrid with a draw, and then take them home, play them in I think it's nearly 3 weeks time, and just get the win at home. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, there was. You would struggle to name one single member of United starting 11 that had a good game. You'd probably say Lindelof was probably the best of a bad
Yeah,
bunch, but
I thought he was the best by far, and he was playing. Was it right back today?
yeah,
It
he
was.
was. Yeah, right back. Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense, that decision, because I think you had both of your right backs on the bench, if I'm not mistaken.
that's right. Yeah.
That to me is worrying, unless they're both not fit. Unless
Do you know
you've
what it is?
heard something that I haven't.
He just doesn't want to drop Maguire and Lindelof on the basis of the performance against Leeds. He didn't want to drop him either. It's the Champions League. You have to play Varane. So it's like he wanted to accommodate all the centre backs. So he just decided to play Lindelof at right back. For me, Maguire should be dropped. And looking at that João Felix goal is just another example of pure defending from Maguire. He just stood there and watched Felix's diving header going in off the post. Didn't even make a challenge. I mean, I'm sure you will agree with all United fans that Harry Maguire is just not good enough for this club.
I'll be honest with you. You know what it is with Maguire, right? He does have he does have deficiencies playing in a two. He's not a player that's comfortable playing in a two. You put him in a three, and I've said this with Manchester United fans, like being a Chelsea fan. If we had Maguire in a three, we would see a better Maguire in a three, not a two. He's not comfortable as a two, because you have to take more responsibility. You have to be more agile. You have to be more alert. You have to be commanding, and that presence, a bit like Varane. But he's not. He's not that type of player. He doesn't want that pressure. But I think, firstly, you have to address the captaincy. The media are taking the mick. I think they're disrupting a lot of Manchester United fans, and these fan base, and your fan base across social media platforms. They're just setting you guys alight, and I don't think there's any major issues, but they're just trying to create something out of nothing. But you have to address the captaincy. You've got to take it off Maguire. Honestly, I think United take that captaincy off Maguire. You might even see a better Maguire because of the pressure. Take that off him, and I think Ralph wins a lot of those players over as well. Give it to Ronaldo or Bruno, or I don't know who the leaders are, but I think that needs to happen. But in terms of today's performance, yeah, Lindelof, you could say De Gea was all right. And then obviously when Elanga came on, I think Matic should have come on sooner, if that makes sense, just to provide a bit of stability within the midfield. But I personally don't think Pogba and Fred are the duo to play in the European games. I think, when you play in the bottom half of the Premier League, it's completely different. But when you're playing top quality opposition from Spain, I don't think that's a good idea. That's why Kondogbia and Herrera were absolutely smashing you guys, and they were just setting traps and you were falling in for them. And I don't know what's happened to that Atletico Madrid goalkeeper, but he's not the same as well. He's going through a De Gea phase, what De Gea was going through a season ago. So yeah, it was. I was looking forward to watching Sancho. I'm not gonna lie. I do admire watching a beautiful wing play, but today there was no creativity or nothing. And I'll be honest, I think Lingard should have started today. I really do believe Lingard should have started today, because watching some of these guys, even Lingard must be asking himself, "Bloody hell, how am I not making this team?" But I can't believe he's accommodating, as you said. If that's true, that's ridiculous, because I just think Varane and Lindelof are your best centre backs. Lindelof has to be asking himself, what do I have to do to get into that starting 11? Because if I don't play right back, I don't play. And I think by not playing Dalot, you've lost some of that attacking flair down that right hand side. Those crosses that would come into Ronaldo and the others. So by doing that, you've strengthened Atletico Madrid because they don't have to work as hard on that particular side. And I think that's ridiculous. Your fullbacks are more important, especially when you're playing four at the back. And it's a shame, really. It's a shame. Rashford was poor today. He has to be dropped now. You got to bring the young lad back in. Do what you were doing before with him. Take Rashford off, take Maguire off, put the others in, and give these guys 20, 30 minutes a game. Rashford, in my opinion, is a sub all the time until he can show 5 or 6 games that, you know what, he's ready again. But I think the young lad starts for me at Manchester United in Elanga.
Yeah, easily Rashford's worst performance in my United shirt tonight. He gave the ball away each and every time. Alanga must feel unlucky that he didn't start this game. Alanga scored against Leeds. He scored again today, and he showed great composure in front of goal. He's arguably been more composed in front of goal than Ronaldo has been lately. So amazing for a young player to come off the bench and score away from home in Europe, away to Atletico Madrid and that massive stadium for all those home fans there. He's so absolutely delighted for the young lad, and he must start against Watford now at the weekend. And Rashford must be on the bench because Rashford has been absolutely dreadful this season, and it's quite concerning now. I don't see how Rashford's going to get his form back. He just uh, he's been left out of the odd game, but when he comes back in, he's just as bad as he was before, and he's really really lacking in confidence at the moment.
No, I would agree. I think what Ralph was doing with Rashford at the beginning, I think he just do that and for a couple of months, just to get Rashford back to scoring goals, and then Ilanga starting on the left hand side, playing 60, 70 minutes, and then bringing Rashford on. It doesn't make any sense with Rashford. I think there's something going on. You can't fall that far off. I think Maguire's another one. He needs to be. I don't understand what's going on with the Maguire situation. He's not been dropped, and the performances have not been great. He's just been as bad as Rashford, and Ralph's not dropping him. There's something going on within Manchester United in terms of Maguire not being dropped. No one can tell me it's a contractual issue. No way can that be. If it's in his contract that he has to play, whoever signed that contract and put those regulations in deserves to be fired at Manchester United, because you know what? Until those big decisions are not made, they're only going to hold you guys back. And this is the type of performance that if this was in the Premier League, I think Manchester United would have got a lot more of a headache compared to it being in Europe. Ronaldo, unfortunately, I hate to say it, I think he needs to be dropped as well. I think he needs a bit of time out. But how many of these guys can you really drop? I don't think he can. Not Ronaldo, but he should be dropped. I don't know who else you play. I don't know where Cavani's gone. I don't know what's happened to him, but it's ridiculous what's going on at Manchester United.
Well, Ronaldo is these days as a 37-year-old is only as good as the service he gets, really. And I know
It's true.
he has missed a few chances as well. And then Cavani seems to be just attending boxing matches at the moment rather than turning up the training. He just only seems to show up when he feels like it, and when he comes back from international duty, he gets extra days off. He get 8 weeks off in the summer, and he's only scored 2 goals all season. So, what is he paid? 200 grand a week. So that's 100 grand per goal for Cavani this season. It's been a terrible waste of money, to be honest. And he's a player that the fans love because he always gives us all when he is on the pitch. But the problem is he's not available very often. But come back to tonight's players. Another substitute who had a good impact was Alex Telles. I thought much better than Luke Shaw, and must feel also unlucky that he's not in the starting 11 ahead of Luke Shaw. What's your thoughts on it?
I'll be honest with you, right? I think Luke Shaw's done. I'm not saying he's done as a footballer, but if we're going to look at the Manchester United left backs of all, this guy couldn't even, he couldn't even tie the laces of Dennis Irwin. Honestly, Patrice, is it Patrice Evra who played left back for you guys as well? Come on, man. There are level. The thing is this. He showed his best spell at Manchester United was last year, and I thought, right, okay, he's here now. This is what we're gonna see consistently, and he's just dropped. He's absolutely dropped, and he has to be dropped. The guy he's not there consistently at all, and he's on big. Okay, put the money to one side. The performances are not there. You kind of whenever Maguire has a bad game, it has a knock-on effect on Luke Shaw because they're both on that left-hand side, and it doesn't surprise me. I think both of them are overrated in my opinion because they're English, and they're not Manchester
Yep.
United level. Luke Shaw needs to take a. He needs. How the problem is how many do you drop? But I don't think you should be starting the next game against Watford. I think you send a message and say, look, you are not playing. I think that there's definitely a fitness issue with Luke Shaw because you know what, sometimes you look at him, you just think, oh, he's not as bulky as he was, and I don't think fitness wise he's there. I think he can get fitter. But for me, Alex Telles is better going forward. Luke Shaw is better defensively, and that is the problem. And I think Ralph Ragnick errs on the side of caution, which is understandable as a result of your performances. But if Luke Shaw doesn't have a good game, most of Manchester United's attacks go down the left-hand side. It's always to the left, because the right-hand side, unless Jadon Sancho's having a good game, it doesn't really work. And your right-hand side was already at a loose end because you didn't play Dalot. It doesn't make any sense. So everything, as soon as I saw the squad, I said it's going all down the left-hand side, because it wasn't going to go any other way. But I think Ralph's going to look at it and just think, either you change it tactically, or you change the team. And I think he has to change the team. But in terms of his performance, I'll be honest with you, like, I'm harsh on Chelsea players. If he gets more than a 4 out of 10 for that, then bloody hell, he's done really well. But because I gave Maguire a 3, and I think Luke Shaw was a 4 at best. And I don't know how you saw it, but you must be really angry watching Luke Shaw. I don't feel the fires there in his belly anymore. And that's something that a lot of these guys are missing.
Yeah, I've already said on this podcast that I think Maguire and Luke Shaw should be sold in the summer. I'm just finished with the both of them. And like you say, when when Maguire's not having a good game, it spreads to the other players in the back four, and not even applies to Varane. He was looking a bit jittery tonight. He was giving the ball away, and then having to make a foul to compensate from giving the ball away. So the disease start to spread around the team once a few players are off it, and that's consistently happening at Manchester United. Like you said, Fred and Pogba were just being caught on the ball far too often. We know Fred's touch isn't good enough anyway, and some of the balls that were being played to him were terrible, which didn't help. But Pogba wasn't getting. He loves time on the ball. Pogba, he loves to take a touch and look up and do a wee trick. But as soon as the ball was played to him, the Athletico midfield were straight on him, and they weren't getting him any time, and he was losing the ball too often. It was one of Pogba's.
He was targeted, wasn't he? He was targeted. Yeah. They knew that was the plan, wasn't it? If Fred plays, we're targeting him, because I bet Simeone had 2 or 3 plans. And I'll be honest with you, today's game was McTominay. I don't know where McTominay is, if he's injured or something, but today it was McTominay. He was the one that needed to play today, not Fred. And you know, when Fred don't play together, and you've had Pogba and Fred, I think Pogba and Fred offer more, and that more is not that good. The only difference what Pogba offers is that creativity, but I think in terms of hard work, dedication, and resilience, I think Pogba and Fred offer a little bit more. I know it's not great to hear, but now you know that when he's not there, that this can happen. And I think that's what Scott McTominay, one thing that he gives you is that fighting spirit. Even though the quality might not be there, but he'll run his socks off. And I just don't think that was there today.
I think McTominay was ill. I think that was the reason that was given for him not playing in this game. But the one midfield combination that we can't play is Fred and Pogba. It leaves us far too open. because Pogba
Mm.
doesn't like to do too much tracking back, and he doesn't work hard enough. And Fred, he's just not good enough to play the CDM role by himself because he's just not good enough on the ball, really, and the distribution can be lacking as well. So yeah, it has to be either Fred McTominay or McTominay and Pogba, or Matic and someone. You can't have Fred and Pogba playing together, especially away from home in a European knockout tie against a team like Atletico Madrid. That midfield combination didn't work. You got to say that Diego Simeone, his tactics were spot on. His team followed his tactics, brilliantly. But you got to say they're a very limited team. You could see that they're not that great of a football inside. They were there to get the 1-0 win. They got an early goal, and then they kind of sat back. And they were pressing United. They were trying to force mistakes to get the second goal, but you could see they're not actually a great side, Atletico, and I mean their form in the league shows that. And the chances were there for United if they could create them, and eventually they created one and took the chance. But yeah, Simeone will be absolutely gutted because I think on the basis of the two performances, Atletico deserved to win the game, and it's a real opportunity now for United to win the game at Old Trafford and go through because, like I say, Atletico they're a fairly average side, aren't they?
Yeah, they've not had a good season this year, and I think Simeone is going to look at that result and think, how did we not score a second and a third? Um, yeah, it was a bit weird how United set up, but Atletico just wanted it. They were at home, nothing to lose, and as I said before, it would have reignited that fire to try and finish in the top four more comfortably. Um, I, th- I just don't think these Man United players know. I think the badge is too heavy for some of them. And in terms of Simeone, I think they're going to have to play. They're going to take more risks at Manchester United. I think they have to take the risks at Manchester United. And I think they're going to come out, or I think they're going to play the same way, or they're going to try and play the same way. United just need to make sure that they get the pivot right. Who is the best players to play in that pivot? I think you've got to bring Matic in, even if it's for 60 minutes. Play Matic for 60 minutes, McTominay next to him, or Pogba, and take it from there. You need to get that pivot right. But I think United look better when they're playing 4-1-4-1. But if he's gone 4-2-3-1, you're just trying to mask the vulnerabilities of Maguire. Everybody knows that you pressurize Maguire. You force him into mistakes. He does silly things, and today you can see it. He's not top level, top draw. He doesn't know how to clear the ball sometimes off corners, and he makes a lot of standard errors which you don't see many top class centre backs making. Many top class centre backs have the vision and the know how to neutralize certain things, and I just think if you don't get that pivot right, that midfield 102, it's gonna cost you. You might even have a knock-on effect on top four because the fans are deflated. And I think as a result of that, the problem with these players today is they care about social media. These younger ones, I'm talking, the ones in their 20s, they're reading about what's being said. It's a shocking performance. You weren't good enough. and that can get to you. I think they need to. The club needs a major overhaul in terms of what players do when they're not training and playing games, because they're taking that all in, but it's that pivot needs sorting, and you might know the right pivot, but I don't think Ralph does.
Yeah, well, it's obvious that it's an area that needs addressed in the summer. Lots and lots of defensive midfielders have been linked with the club, but who knows who's going to end up coming in the end. Um,
Yeah. Did you see what Sky Sports did today? It was mad on Twitter. Um, they put a picture of Declan Rice, and they put like Declan Rice 120 million, and I'm just like, okay, that's either aimed at Manchester United or probably Chelsea, and I'm just like, absolute. I think it was more aimed at Man United. Absolutely ridiculous, 120 million, and it's crazy, absolutely crazy.
That's the type of money you would pay for the best striker in the world. We're not going to splash that kind of cash on a holding midfielder. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. And I think West Ham are going to price him out of a move this summer, by the looks of things, and we may have to look elsewhere, and Chelsea will have to also, because that's just that money is just insane, and there's no way Chelsea or United are going to pay 120 million for a defensive midfielder.
Hmm.
In terms of United tonight, I think Athletico, they wanted it more. You could see it again. How many times have we said that about Man United? They were playing for the shirt tonight, Athletico, even though they've had a poor season and they looked like a fairly limited. But they put their heart and soul into this game. You couldn't say that about every single United player. And too many passengers, too many players who aren't good enough to wear the shirt, and too many players who do have ability, but they just weren't doing it tonight. So
Hmm.
I'm so glad that Anthony Alanga got us out of jail. There's nothing better as a football fan than seeing a young player come on and score in a big game like that, and watching how he enjoyed scoring the goal as well. So for me, he has to start the next game, like I say. And I think I'm going to name my ideal starting 11 for Watford and the second leg, and I think it's exactly the same team that I said, just a few days ago. But I doubt we'll see it. So my ideal team would be De Gea, obviously in goal, Dallo, Varane, Lindelof, Telles, McTominay, and Pogba. Then Fernandez ahead of them, and then the front three would be Sancho, Ronaldo, and Ilanga. Would you have any disagreements about that?
It
No.
depends if Cavani is available. I would just let Ronaldo, because it's Watford. I think I would just give Ronaldo the time off and say, listen, we're going to play Cavani. Apart from that, I'd say that's probably a decent that's probably a decent that's probably the correct lineup for Watford on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it is. So yeah, I'd agree with that. I just think, did you put Maguire in there?
No, no, Lindelof and
No,
Varane.
yeah. Maguire, Rashford on the bench, Shaw on the bench, and I think that should be Manchester United's teams, with Lindelof and
And Fred on the bench
Gallo,
too.
and yeah, I'd put Fred on the bench as well, and just keep Matic for 60 minutes. He can manage 60, 70 minutes, and then take him off, and then you could bring somebody else on, and just take it from there. And I think that'll see you through. I think you've got too much firepower over Watford, but it's it's one of them. It's you just don't. I think the problem is you said that this team don't want it that much, and I don't know if you remember. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago that Roy Keane said on Sky Sports that there's too many bluffers. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember that there are too
I do.
many
Yeah.
bluffers at this club, and that's what you just reminded me of. And I just thought, the former Manchester United captain is saying that. And then what I would, when you hear stuff like that as a manager or as a coach, big up Rush, as a manager or as a coach, what you would be thinking is, right, I'm getting him in. I'm getting in Roy Keane, and I'm getting in. I want this guy to instill leadership, instill motivation, because sometimes it's not about the quality on the pitch. Sometimes it's about the dedication, the hard work, who wants it the most. Because, back in the day, Fergie didn't always play sexy football. He had players that grinded it out. He had players that wanted it more. It's not always about being stylish, looking good, looking a certain way, doing a flick or a trick. It's about getting down and dirty and rolling your sleeves up and getting over the line. And this is what this generation lacks, in my opinion. And I think you see it across many teams, not only Man United, but I think these Man United players, when you look at some of their performances this season, and you'll know better than me, you'll just think, how often, like if I asked you, how often have you seen some of these players roll up their sleeves and work their socks off? And I think you'd find it very hard to say more than 2 or 3 games. And I think that's the problem with this team.
Yeah, there'll be times where there'll be potentially 7 players working their socks off, and there'll be 4 just letting everybody down. And they'll never, when it comes to this Man United squad, there'll never be 11 players giving their all in any given game, really. That's just the way they are, and that's why, like you say, there needs to be wholesale changes in the summer, and hopefully that will happen, because obviously there's lots of players out of contract anyway, a lot of players who want to leave, and players who are already out on loan who might go on a permanent basis. So there'll be a real opportunity there to make a lot of changes, get lots of people off the wage bill.
You need to address the manager first. I think that's
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
big one, because I don't know who your director of football is. You'll know better. I don't know. I know you got a new one, but it depends whether you trust your director of football to make all these changes. You kind of need the manager, and then if you director of football can quite clearly see the midfield's a problem. So listen, 50, 60, you're gonna pay the stupid money anyway. 50 million for Neves, just go get him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Kessie's available on a free. If you don't want Kessie, pay another 50, 60 million for NDD. Your midfield is sorted. Keep McTominay. You can keep Fred as well, depending on how long their contracts are. And there you go. Your midfield is sorted. The United team of old, Sir Alex Ferguson would buy the best player in that position from the league. United don't do that anymore. That is a big problem. United need to move like they used to move. Harry Kane should have been at United 4 years ago, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. He should have been bought. I used to say to my friends, I go, this guy's a real deal. You need to go buy him. This is a United player. No. And then you go buy the best midfielder and then the best centre-back, wherever he is, because everybody knew that once United comes knocking, they're going to break that door down. They're not, if you don't open it, they're going to smash it through. And I don't think you have that. I don't think you have that, that firepower, that, that oomph, that, you're not the scary Manchester United you were. And it just depends. I just think it's going to take 4 to 5 years to get it right. You need players with leadership ability as well. So when the scouting is done, like obviously I didn't watch. Who paid much attention to Harry Maguire when he was at Leicester? No one did. Let's be honest. But was he the captain of Leicester City? Did he command his team? Was he showing leadership skills? He quite clearly wasn't. So when United went to scout him, surely you have you have like a technical report, a personality report. You go and speak to his parents, you speak to his manager, you look at the games, you look at who he's talking to. And I think all the clubs need to look at how Liverpool recruit. They do the best recruitment because they don't have the big budget. They don't do what Chelsea and United and City do. They don't buy quantity over quality. They buy quality every single time for the system that works for them. But to do that, you need a manager with a system. And until that doesn't happen at Manchester United, this is just going to be a common theme throughout. And that's what needs to be sorted. The manager, then the midfield, then the strike. And I believe you could contend within 2 seasons if you get 3 seasons if you get the right guy in charge and you give him time. I don't think you can do like 1 season wonders anymore like Chelsea have done. We've proven it that you can't do that anymore. You could be and there's no harm in winning a trophy every year, but United really need to be challenging for the Premier League. And I thought at the beginning of the season that, you know what, United bought really, really well. And apart from buying a midfielder, I thought they might be challenging, but it's kind of gone the opposite way. And that's because of the deficiencies of the recruitment and not knowing the types of players you're buying. You have to, when you're playing Football Manager, I don't know if you play that game, and there's certain things that you look at in a player, aggression, attitude, and stuff like that, and what's he like on a pitch. And that's what you need. And there's a lot of players at Man United that they're not leaders. Like, like you have that one defender, you have like several leaders. Like you look at United team apart, there's several leaders. I don't think you can say that at the moment. I think there might be one at United so far. And I just think it's a bunch of individuals. It's still Moments FC. They play good football when they want to. When it connects, it connects. But I just think this theme is just going to carry on and on and on until United get a good manager and they give him 3 to 5 years.
Well, Captain Harry Maguire is the legacy of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Spending 80 million on a defender who'd never played in the Champions League before, and then made him captain within 6 months. It was what a huge mistake that was. I think Leicester and Hull is kind of his level, I'm afraid, and obviously he can play well in a back three for England. But I mean, United don't play back three, not usually anyway. So he's going to be playing in a back four 99% of the time, and I'm afraid he's been badly exposed in that position. But in terms of the manager, the new manager coming in, I think the one that most fans want was managing tonight in Benfica with his Ajax team, and they got a 2-each draw away from home. We'll be keeping a close eye on how Ajax do in the Champions League again, because I think I think 95% of United fans want him to take over in the summer, and like you say, you have to give him 3 to 5 years to rebuild, and then let's see what he can do, because he's not. If Erik ten Hag does come in the summer, I mean, he's not going to win the Premier League next season. That's just fanciful stuff, really, isn't it?
No, it's true. I think it's also the
Absolutely
personnel
right. Yeah.
you put around Ten Hag as well. Rashford is our Deli Ali. I won't go that far. I think Rashford's a lot better. To be fair, I think I just think he's just having a really bad season. I think Rashford's just off this year, a bit like what Mane was last year. I think he'll come good again next season. I just think he needs to be managed well and take just be brought on as a substitute. But
Yeah, I think
in terms of Ten Hag, listen, if you can get it over the line, but the thing is, Ten Hag's got good people around him that trust him, and I think that's an issue with your current. I don't know if hierarchy or backroom personnel. What's your former player called? He's always on the bench.
Darren Fletcher.
Yeah, Fletcher. He's always on the bench. Like, why is he so hands on? Is that I
It's
don't know if
very
I
weird.
mentioned it to you. Is that a message to the fans to say he's going to be next in line? It's just a bit weird. Like, I've never seen a technical director. Like, I've never seen at Chelsea the technical director being on the bench and having so much of a say in terms of the players, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, Darren Fletcher, yeah, he's a United legend, but he wasn't the greatest player of Manchester United, and it's his job role is weird to me. And I think this is why United fans are looking into, like, what's he doing? Why is he doing it? Why, shouldn't he be doing something else? And yeah, but I think if you can get Ten Hag over the line, he plays wonderful football. But then also you need to back him in the transfer window to get personnel. And I think he might need 3 to 5 players to come in this summer if he comes in, and then next summer as well. But then also you've got to somehow, some way get. It's not easy to get rid of established Premier League players that are on long contracts. I don't know how long Maguire and Shaw and some of these others that you don't want are there for, because they're on big money, and I bet they're on long contract. I think Maguire must have a couple of years left.
Yeah, well, hopefully Newcastle will come in for Maguire and Shaw. That's what we're hoping for. um, okay, another comment here. Dele Alli had so much talent, but as Mourinho said, he didn't work hard enough. And with Rashford, he's going down the same path, not working hard enough, just talking on social media with nothing to show. You've got to say Rashford is much better than what he's showing at the moment, but he's absolutely terrible, and you could easily justify just sending him off to Dubai for 3 weeks, because his form isn't going to improve anytime soon. It's
Yeah, I don't think he's that bad. I think off the bench he's really good. I just think he needs to just stay there whilst Alanga's playing a good game. And I just think you rotate the two. What's wrong with rotating players? Competition for places. You don't have to stick with the same 11. If you've got one kid versus Rashford, Ilanga versus Rashford, and Ilanga's doing well, you stick with Ilanga. And then when Ilanga tails off, now which Rashford has now tailed off, you put Ilanga back in. It's as simple as that. Okay, you're coming in and now you're on the bench. Simple.
Yeah, he has had an impact from the bench, but unfortunately, when he came on in a recent game from the bench, he wasn't very good either. Marcus Rashford. So it's a tough one for the manager to handle at the moment. But one thing he certainly cannot do is start him ahead of Alanga. So before we move on to the player ratings, please everyone subscribe to the channel, comment your thoughts down below on
Yeah,
tonight's
big
game.
up everyone. Do
Yeah, and
like
give
and
us a wee like.
subscribe. Get it down.
Okay, I'm gonna fly through the player ratings, and you let me know if you disagree with any of these. Some of these are going to be very harsh indeed. I will warn you. So De Gea not really involved much tonight, and couldn't do anything about the goal. So I'm going to give David De Gea just an average 6. Lindelof probably our best outfield starter on the night, I would say, despite the fact that he's playing out of position. So I would probably have to give Lindelof a 7. I think he prevented a goal right from the start, with a last ditch block, something that you'd be accustomed to seeing from John Terry. So moving on to the centre backs, yeah, I don't think Varane had his greatest game tonight, so he would probably be a 5. Maguire, um, definitely a 4. No, he was at fault for the goal. Shaw, like I would give him a 3. To be honest, I thought he was really poor. Fred, another 4. Pogba, a 4. Fernandez probably a 4 as well. Like you say, he was really off it tonight, giving the ball away needlessly so often. Although I think he was involved in the goal, so maybe that's where we'll bump him up to a 5 maybe for that. But he was dreadful tonight too. And Rashford, easily his worst game in United shirt. I would probably give Rashford, um, I would say a 1 out of 10, to be quite honest with you.
I think
Um,
that's harsh. I think he's a 4 as well. I think he's a 4.
and
I
then
get it. I understand your frustration, but I think he's a 4. Like I know that's not the good rating, but I was gonna give him a 4.
yeah, I think
I didn't think he was your worst player. I think he was bad, but I don't think he was your worst player.
Ronaldo, yeah, he's only as good as the service is provided for him, and he's seen him even looking at his other players at one point. By say there was a poor cross that came in that was nowhere near him, and he was lifting one finger up, going, one decent cross, please," and he didn't get one all night. So
The problem was is that decent cross was only going to come from the left hand side, really,
yeah,
because the
yeah,
right hand side, you've kind of alienated Sancho, and if he doesn't do anything, the full like I know Lindelof's got a good passing range, but he's not really known for his crossing ability. If that makes sense.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, because he's a centre back. So Ronaldo a 4, and Sancho probably a 5. Didn't really have much of an impact on tonight's game. But in terms of the substitutes, you've got to say Elanga gets an 8. Tella is probably a 7. Uh, Maric came on and done his job well. He took his yellow card as he always does when he comes off the bench. So yeah, I'd probably give him like a 6.5. And Lingard probably came on too late to give him a rating. Who was the? Oh, I want Bissaka
One
came on.
Bissaka, yeah.
Yeah, probably give him a 6 for his contribution. Um, yeah, that's it. And Ralph Ranić, you got to say, uh, Simeone won the tactical battle. Athletico deserved to win the game, but we got the result that we'll be more happy than them with that draw. So Ranić, on the basis of getting the result, I'll give him a 6. But if it had lost the game 1-0, it probably would have been a 4. So, any disagreements with any of those?
Um,
Oh, like, well, you disagree with me on Rashford. I give him a 1 and you give him a 4.
yeah, I think if Shaw was poor, I think Shaw and Rashford, you kind of have to give him like kind of a similar rating, if that makes sense. So if you gave him a 3, I'd be like, yeah, with a 3. Yeah, I thought Ronaldo didn't really get much. I'd give him a 5. I would have given him an average 5, and I think and the rest of them, I think you're dead on. I think you're dead on. I think sometimes you have to be cruel, but sometimes that's just what's required. And this Man United team, I don't think hard work costs anything. I really don't.
I know it's been a familiar theme throughout the season. The hard work just isn't there from a lot of the players. So Pranani Paul has left another comment. He says But let's be honest, Rashford's decision making is absolute trash. I love Rashford, but you've got to accept the gulf between him and Sancho in quality of decision making is so enormous. Yeah, absolutely right. Sancho was having a much better season than Rashford. You've got to say, and
Yeah,
probably has more ability.
they I think Sancho's a more creative player. We have to remember that he offers the creativity, whereas Rashford, I don't think Rashford uses his brain as much as he needs to. I don't think he plays intelligently. I just think he's a bit like a bull, gets the ball and just wants to run at someone. And I just think sometimes you just think, right, listen, just wait. You don't do it at certain times. Just keep hold of the ball, try and keep possession, build confidence, and so forth. And I think is Rashford still only 24 or something? He's still he's not that old yet. And he could still develop his game. It's just that because he's been a pro for such a long time, since he was 17, 18, there's certain things that you require him to be good at, and he's not good at them. And I think that's what frustrates for Manchester United. But I think he'll be a really good addition off the bench. As I said, just rotate him and Ilanga. It's as simple as that. And then it just depends on where you play Rashford, because I've heard Sancho plays well on the left as well. So if Sancho's good on the left, you play Sancho on the left. But the thing is, who do you play on the right? I think you start Lingard. I really, really do. Unless there's somebody else I'm missing. But
Well, Lingard started on the right, I think, against Leeds. He didn't have the greatest of games, but I agree with you that based on his substitute appearances this season, Lingard he has deserved a run in the team, but didn't really take his chance against Leeds. But I would like to see more starts for him. Maybe Watford would be an opportunity, but definitely Alanga and Sancho are likely to start in those inside forward roles in that Watford game, and Lingard might have to settle for a place on the bench once again. But certainly Rashford cannot start this game. He doesn't deserve to start the game on merit. So yeah, it's a really really bad performance, but a fantastic result all the same, and it certainly puts us in a strong position ahead of the second leg. So
definitely,
like
I think we should stay on the positives. Listen, young lad from the academy. Let's be positive. Manchester United hopefully get the job done. And listen, a draw away from home, I think you would have taken it, and I think many Manchester United fans would have taken it. Sometimes performances are not going to be there; they were flat, but they got the job done, in my opinion.
So, do you fancy United to make it through to the next round then?
Yeah, 100%, I do. Yeah, because it's going to happen in nearly 3 weeks' time. Who knows what Manchester United are going to be like in 3 weeks' time? The thing is, this United haven't really got going yet. It's going to happen, and when it happens, you'd think that they're going to string 4 or 5 games together. So doing it in front of your own fans will be the right thing. However, Ralph Ragnick needs to help himself and make those big decisions. And one of them has to be to strip the captaincy of Harry Maguire. You can't allow the media to keep talking about this rubbish. It's disrupting the fan base and it's disrupting the players. The players are going to come out once they leave Manchester United and say, listen, we can't believe this guy's the captain of Man United. What's happened? And that's the first thing that needs to be addressed. The whole fan base will be jumping up for joy the day Maguire is stripped of that captaincy. Until that does not happen, Ralph Ragnick is not helping himself.
Yeah, well, he said in a recent press conference that Maguire is going to be his captain to the end of the season, which obviously sunk the hearts of many United fans. What we're hoping for that the new manager comes in the summer and immediately makes someone else the captain. Yeah, I noticed tonight UEFA had Bruno Fernandes down as the Man United captain. There must have been an administration error. It got everybody very excited for a moment.
It was probably a United fan working for UEFA. He thought, you know what, I'll do the job for you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Okay, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. And if United draw Chelsea in the Champions League quarterfinals, we'll definitely be having you on for those.
Yeah, let's see what happens first. There's a lot of football to be played yet, and you don't know, anything could happen in football. It's things change very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's a Man United podcast, and a lot of people have called a lot of these Man United players prima donnas, but you've got to say Romelu Lukaku is the biggest prima donna in world football. The 7
I was
touches
gonna say,
Lukaku.
yeah, Yeah, but you could say Jack Grealish as well. So it depends on how you see it.
You must be very frustrated with Lukaku at the moment, I would have thought.
Um, Listen, look, he wasn't my first choice, but he was. Tuchel is the one that made that decision, and it's all right to blame Lukaku, but ultimately he's not the one that's responsible for providing service. It's you can't blame the attacker if you don't give him any service. If he has one shot on target, how he's never been that type of player to put it away. He's not top draw. He's never been like that.
He thinks he
So if
is.
he doesn't, yeah, he probably does think he is. Chelsea paid 100 million for him, and this is what I've said to the fan base. They said to me at the beginning of the season, "We're going to challenge." I said, "I don't think we will," but we did until December. So that was our challenge. After that, we fizzled out, and obviously the fullback situation is what it is at Chelsea. They're injured. We had January to address it. People don't understand that Ben Chilwell's out with an ACL. They think he's just going to come back and just like be the way he was. It doesn't work like that. It could take months for him to get back to the level that he needs to be at, and we should have got Digne, but we didn't. We were hoping that Emerson was going to come back, and Tuchel is just frustrating me with some of the things that he does. He's very late in making changes. He's got Kennedy back from loan, and he's not even played him. So why we called him back from loan then when he was playing games? Play him. But who am I to challenge the great Thomas Tuchel? Because I'm happy we're winning trophies and we get top four. That's where we are. Chelsea are nowhere near challenging Liverpool and Man City, but I think Tuchel will get there in 2 years' time. But until that time, the fan base just have to enjoy cup wins, and that's what we are. We are a cup team at this moment in time.
Yeah, he has like the new United manager in the summer. Tuchel needs to be given time as well to win the league. But United fans know themselves that Lukaku isn't as good as he thinks he is. His first touch has been called into question quite a lot, and he's not as lethal in front of goal as he should be.
I
He's
think,
not.
yeah, but you say that, but his goal scoring record's really good.
Yeah, but he misses a
If
lot
you
of
look at
chances
it,
as well, though. Um,
yeah, I know, but which striker doesn't? If you look at Salah, the volume that he gets service and the amount of chances he's got, his conversion rate is not the best. I just think he's an scapegoat. But you have to look at the amount of chances, and we are at this moment in time. Chelsea are a counter-attacking outfit. We are not good on the ball. We're really not. And what I mean by that is when we're in the attacking third, what do we do with the ball? We go down the wing and then we bring it back. We recycle it back. We just pass it to one another. We don't have we need like a Marcus Rashford strokes Jadon Sancho type of player to take the player on when they're one on one. But we don't have that. Since Hazard has gone, we just don't have that type of player. And I think Thomas Tuchel tells his players, I don't want you to take players on. I want you to keep the ball. So, but football's not based on possession. It's about scoring goals. And against Lille, we had 4 opportunities and we put 2 away. We had 4 goal scoring opportunities. And this was against Lille, who absolutely played out of their skins. Renato Sanchez was playing fantastic. And we got the job done. It was decent. But do I expect more? Yes. But if you don't play the same front three all the time and you keep mixing them up for whatever reason, if you don't have continuity, it's not going to happen. And that's the problem at Chelsea. Havertz, Werner, and Ziyech should be the front three. But hey, is it going to be like that? No, it's not. And it doesn't. I believe if Antonio Conte had our team, we'd be challenging. I really do. And that's just my opinion. I just don't. I think Thomas Tuchel needs a lot of time. He needs 2 summer transfer windows. But I'm worried about who. I think we're going to get Declan Rice for 120 million. I'm not going to lie to you. I really do. We're stupid enough to do that because Chelsea football. The only club stupid after Manchester United, Chelsea Football Club. We've fucking done some crazy business. And I think either you're going to
well,
do it, which I hope you do, or it's going to be us. One of us two is gonna say Declan Rice plays for our club next season. I'm really worried about that.
possibly, yeah. But Lukaku didn't do himself any favors with that interview that he done that resulted in being disciplined. I mean, that's another expensive mistake. Arguably paying 100 million for Lukaku, within 3 months he's crying, looking back to Inter Milan, the club that he loves, and
Yeah, I
he
think
says he always watches him play.
yeah, I think the context of that interview was straight after when he signed for Chelsea. It was very early on. I think a lot of Chelsea fans just need to get over it. Look, he's our player now. We've given him a 4 or 5 year deal. He's on crazy money. Should we really turn our backs on him? Should we really treat him like rubbish, or should we get behind him, give him the confidence, and play to his strengths? What I said about Lukaku was this: if you can't be with us in the rain, we don't want you with us in the storm. It's as simple as that. And we were here before you, and we will be here after you. If you don't want to be here, that's fine. In the summer, we'll sell you for 20, 30 million. We'll have to take the hit, obviously. If not, he's here for a long time. He's here for 4 more years, like Kepa was. Kepa didn't have a good start, but in the last 2 years, Kepa's been fantastic. No one talks about it. No one talks about how well Kepa's done in the last couple of seasons. But it is what it is. I think Lukaku will be fine. But I'd rather get behind him instead of just keep saying Lukaku and all this rubbish about him, because he's our player. And you know what? When times get tough, he's going to score the winning goals in some big games. And then Chelsea fans, they're going to have to like stand up and acknowledge that, you know what? He got us out of that game, and he got us the result, because we don't play fantastic football in terms of creating chances, scoring goals. We're a team that's well structured off the ball. We're defensively solid, and that's just how we play. We don't play the expansive and firework football that I want to see. I believe that we've got fantastic attackers. The numbers were great before they come to Chelsea, but when you come to Chelsea, I just think we don't use their abilities of attacking as much as we can, and that's because we play a different brand of. I call it safety first football. I really do. I think that's the type of team we are at this moment in time. We're a cup team. No harm in being a cup team, and we're a counter-attacking side. That's it.
And you might win another cup at the weekend against Liverpool, hopefully. It's
Oh
turned in.
yeah, they won 6-0 today.
Well, anyone could beat Leeds 6-0. Okay, it's turned into a bit of the Glowy Glowy Chelsea podcast in the last 10 minutes or so, but we'll wrap it up there. Get your comments in, guys. Please also like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll definitely have you on the show again, Haneef.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Thank you so much, and everybody, please do subscribe. This guy knows what he's talking about. He only comes in because I'm the voice of reason and recklessness, and yeah, amazing as always, pal.
Yeah, been an absolute pleasure. Okay, see you later.
Take care. God bless.